Yes, Tushar sir. Go ahead. We are live now.
Yes, come on. Very good morning to all of you in this early morning from India, 9 o'clock. And it's the first virtual forum of ACGSA post-COVID. And I am Architect Tushar Sugani, Deputy Chair, ACGSA. And thanks to my chairman, Acha, for giving me this opportunity to carry on this forum as a moderator. And I think before wasting much of time, let us have an opening remark from our chairman, Acha. Acha, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tushar. Good morning, President Rita, Vice Presidents, ACGSA representatives, and everybody. Welcome again to our first ACGSA Forum Online, Redefining Sustainability to Vernacular Wisdom, organized by ACGSA. I am glad to see that many of us join this event and see the importance of this topic and its our common issues, concerns, and goals. According to the workshop among ACGSA country representatives done in Dhaka last year, we brainstormed, and for emerging country issues, we have comprised into 3 pillars that I wanted to show you. The 3 pillars. I want to share you my screen a little bit. Yes. So actually, we have come up with the 3 pillars under focus, and these are pillar number 1. That they come. Oh, sorry. Let me stop sharing. It doesn't go. Okay. So maybe I could speak now. Actually, pillar number 1 is about future vernacular wisdom as well as heritage, adaptive use. And pillar number 2 is about new urban agenda, green building rating tools, health and well-being, and harmonizing green building. And pillar number 3, which is about resilience, flood, earthquake, food security, urban green, design for disaster, air quality. Actually, our committees are exposed to certain contexts and different environment. We have come together to work together and share our knowledge, experience using Acacia platform. And this forum is about pillar number 1, which is about future vernacular and heritage. Today, we hope that everybody will learn from our respective committee and our speakers from different regions for the different approaches for sustainability through future vernacular wisdom, with the hope to understand the context and implementation to improve our design for better sustainability and environment. And thank you, Acacia. Thank you also ACGSA committee. Thank you, sponsors and audience to make this event happen. And last but not least, next, our webinar is about pillar number 2 and 3 will be in December and January. And stay tuned for our activities. And hopefully we enjoy the forum. And thank you very much, Tushar. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tushar. Thanks a lot. I think it was a very good start by our chairman, Acha. And today it's a very historical moment for us because after this pandemic, post-COVID, we are organizing the first virtual forum, and we are really delighted to have our office bearers from Acacia, none other than architect first Rita So. So Rita, we have been really blessed that you have been here to witness this fantastic forum. And I think Rita does not need any introduction, but since there are other participants also, so from other than Acacia, so just I'd like to give a brief introduction about our president, Rita So. Rita So is the Acacia president for the year 2019 to 2021. Rita So joined RDC Architects Private Limited in 89. In a short span of time, she is now the managing director of RDC in the year 2016. Rita So is currently a member of Appeals Board, Law and Acquisition, board member of Sentosa Development Corporation and Housing Development Board. She is the member of Mandai Development Committee and the chairman of Building and Construction Authority, that is BCA. And Rita she's a chairman of SUTD, Architecture and Sustainable Design Pillar Advisor, as well as the member for NUS Advisory Committee, School of Design and Environment. She was formally nominated as the Member of Parliament, which is a proud moment for us, Acacian. Architect Rita So holds the Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies degree, and she did her Master's from University of Nottingham. So Rita, thank you so very much for coming to this forum and kind of set a model booster for us. So over to you, Rita.
Thank you, Tusha. Thank you very much for a very kind introduction. Fellow council members, architects, students, and colleagues from Acacia Member Institute, including, I know, our friends from Acacia countries and beyond, my warmest greeting to all of you from Singapore. Welcome to this Acacia ACGSA online forum focusing on redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom. Yes, I know it's been 8 months since COVID-19 was declared a pandemic by the WHO, but many countries are still being hit by the second and third waves of this disease. We are indeed experiencing an unprecedented time of turmoil and disruption. As a result, we are faced with increasing global economic recession amid the geopolitical unrest in many countries. In addition, given the cumulative effects of climate change, some of our member countries are also devastated by numerous natural disasters. Indeed, the future looks bleak, but I do hope you are staying safe and keeping well. Despite the disruptions to our Acacia usual calendar of events, I am truly encouraged by my various committees' hard work and great effort in organizing a series of virtual forums and webinars to continue our program. It has been a hiatus year for physical travels and meetings, but I must say that we have been meeting virtually so frequently like never before. Thank you, my members. Given climate change, extreme weather conditions are increasing in frequency and in intensity. As architects, we have the responsibility and the moral obligation to design, create, and maintain our resilient urban future. I see this pandemic as a wake-up call for all of us to rethink, to reimagine how our future living environment will have to be. Yes, with the start of Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries, we saw an unprecedented rise in the rate of population growth and the rapid development of trade and businesses globally. With increasing global population comes massive production and overconsumption. How then can we ensure that our urban future be created sustainably and be layered with resiliency principles? I'm heartened to see that our ACGSA committees focus on the topic redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom. Interestingly, Acacia embraces members from countries in which we know from history are some of the world's oldest civilizations. With more than 5,000 years of history, I'm sure we have in our midst huge treasure troves of unmeasurable vernacular wisdom. It is with much delight to me that we have begun to search into our past in order to understand and acknowledge the wisdom of our ancestors, so as to inform ourselves on how we should be building for our future. Therefore, it's imperative to learn and appreciate both our history as well as the geography of where we are in. Acacia, with our rich, diverse history, cultures, and tradition, as well as our natural and built heritage, must come together to establish our Asian benchmarks to define and champion the sustainability concerns that are aligned with our unique situations and approaches. Learning and borrowing wisdom from our past, which were embedded with tried and tested methodologies, can now be further enhanced with the use of the latest technologies and artificial intelligence of the present time to better serve our modern needs without losing our own local character and identities. Perhaps just to share with you an example which is often cited in Zone B countries, the Kampong house, a traditional Malay house. This example is just to show you that the building is, the house was actually usually built elevated on stilts or stone boulders to allow for natural cross ventilation and to avoid floods. More importantly, there was a layering of spaces from public to private via the use of verandas and terraces to address our humid, hot climate. Understanding these simple principles and translating them to modern use for both low-rise and high-rise residential development will help reduce the reliance of air conditioning usage. Of course, the layering of spaces often work to cater for social interactions and communal facilities. You can see many of this high-rise example in Singapore if you should visit our country. Therefore, I'm sure that you will find very unique and useful jewels of wisdom from your respective heritage, and then to better understand how to adopt and adapt them, yes, transform them for new users. This journey will not be easy, but I'm sure that what we begin now will be a good catalyst for others to join in and to continue the discovery process. Indeed, we ought to strive towards a mindset of thorough learning, research and development in the pursuit of innovative designs where climate strategy is embedded as part of a smart planning strategy for a safe and resilient environment. Finally, I'd like to encourage the mindset of creation care. Regardless of our different religious belief, I see it as our responsibility as architects and planners to embrace this urgent need to have a concerted effort and strategy towards creation care, the care for our planet Earth. It is time to make a clarion call to promote and to effect the concept of creation care into our design DNA. Lastly, I hope you'll take time to listen and share in the presentations by many of our expert panels as described by Acha on the 3 different pillars that was highlighted earlier. And therefore, I would look forward to a fruitful and meaningful forum ahead, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you. Over to you, Acha.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Acha. Go ahead. Yep.
Thank you, Rita, for those wonderful insight, in the morning. And in fact, we were looking, till now, I'm not talking anything about the topic, but I always wanted to start from your side because it was you who has given Acha and me a kind of a baseline to work in this Acacia Committee of Green and Sustainable Architecture, which we are taking your vision way forward. Thank you, Rita. Thanks a lot. And you rightly say, Rita, that if roots are alive, it gives rise to new fruits, actually. So we should not follow our what our ancestor has done, what we have got in legacy in terms of architecture. I think that we need to understand very, very, very seriously. So thanks a lot, Rita, for those enlightening words. Now, our next speaker is our dynamic Vice President, Zone A, Mr. Lalit Zakarias. Lalit Zakarias is graduated from Department of Architecture, Government of Engineering College, Trivandrum in the year 1984. He is a strong pillar of our Indian Institute of Architects in our region, and he has won numerous awards for various projects. And he's a very active member of IIA since the year 1987, and he's also a fellow member of Institute of Valuers, and he's a keen golfer and loves traveling. So, Lalichanji, over to you for your kind words on the topic.
Thank you, Tushar, for your generous introduction. President Rita, ACGSA Chair Acha, fellow architects, a very good morning to all of you from Cochin, where I'm sitting. As President Rita has said, the pandemic made us closer, which gave us opportunities to meet more often, thanks to COVID-19. It's a pleasure to be participating in this webinar organized by ACGSA on the subject Redefining Sustainability Through Vernacular Wisdom. My congratulations to ACGSA for organizing this webinar. Vernacular architecture is a sign of identity, which reflects the place, time, and culture. It is built in accordance with the natural environment, fulfilling people's physical, economic, social, and cultural norms. It can be defined as unpretentious, simple, indigenous, traditional structures made of local materials. Maybe we can say vernacular architecture is the result of constraints on resource availability. But with the limited means, the architecture produced can be of the most distinctive character and identity, which is proven time and again. Elements of sustainable design are integral to vernacular architecture that have evolved over time using local materials and technology, emerging from ambient, natural, and cultural environment, creating optimum relationships between people and a place. Every society that created architecture has evolved its own identity that adhere to people, its language, clothing, customs, and traditional stories. Most of the global cities lack identity due to the imported global styles and techniques that do not cope with the ambient environment and do not reflect the uniqueness of the country, people, and society. In the past 3 decades, the world witnessed great awareness towards environmental dilemmas such as global warming, resource depletion of energy, air and water pollution, waste generation, population growth, and globalization. These issues make it a necessity for sustainability integration in ways we live, act, use of resources, and build. The word sustain means to hold up or support. A society needs to be supported by its population in the present and future. I am sure this webinar on redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom will come out with useful guidelines and tips through its deliberations. Let me wish Acacia Committee for Green and Sustainable Architecture a fruitful event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lalitanji, for those nice words, opening words.
Thank you very much.
And now we have our another office bearer, Vice President Zone B, a dynamic Vice President, Architect Saifuddin bin Ahmed. He is the Principal Architect for Saifuddin Architects. He's the Director for SNO Architect, SDN, BXD. He did his Diploma in Architecture, and after that he did his Bachelor's in Architecture. And Saifuddin is a very key person in revealing us all about Malaysian Architect Association, and we have been seeing since last so many years in Acacia. So Saifuddin, over to you to just throw some light on the topic redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom. Over to you, Saifuddin, for your kind words.
Thank you, Tusha. Good evening, everyone. Maybe this morning, just a little recap on the geographical and historical factors of Zone B nations, which gave these countries the character of its architecture, people, culture, and environment. Zone B, as you all know, consists of 9 nations of Southeast Asia. In terms of climate, it experiences equatorial and tropical climate. There is 2 distinctive seasons, rainy and dry season in most countries. Indonesia and Philippines lies along the Ring of Fire and as such experiences earthquakes. Vietnam and Philippines are exposed to typhoons and landslides. In fact, only recently central Vietnam was hit by typhoons. Singapore, an island city-state, is a developed nation, urban, densely populated with many high-rise. Thailand is the only country not colonized by any foreign masters. Myanmar and Laos for many years was secluded, managed to retain its old buildings. Malaysia is a fast developing country and has been colonized by a number of colonial masters. As such, its architecture is very diverse. And Brunei is formerly a small British protectorate. As all these nations share almost the same climate, and in terms of architecture, besides almost a common vernacular character, these nations are heavily influenced by the colonial masters of French, British, Spanish, and Dutch. Like most developing countries, urban landscape has changed dramatically. Clients tend to ask ideas from more developed Western countries, usage of materials and technology, which at times ignore the local climate and environment. Some are suitable, majority are not. In larger cities, there are many old heritage buildings that can be conserved or reused. And this is commonly found in Myanmar, Philippines, and Vietnam. The world is experiencing many changes in many aspects. Climate changes, as Madam President mentioned earlier, pandemics that has caused our living, our working style has changed. A new style of architecture is developing, and I would like to congratulate AGSA for organizing this event so that we can share knowledge and experiences how each country adapt to all these changes, but yet retain the vernacular character and be sustainable. From these findings today, I hope we are able to get the various committees to work on common findings. Let's watch and listen to these speakers. Lastly, stay safe, take care. We are still a long way to find a solution to this pandemic. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saifuddin, for those nice words. And now we have got another office bearer, Zone C Vice President. Is he here? Guzian is joined, Acha?
Actually, he texted me that he couldn't join from China through WebEx. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think we
so
could
no problem. We'll mark his proxy today. You know, his other counterpart from China is there. His proxy has been taken well into records. You know, so okay, that's good. Now, can I have the presenter rights, please, Amit? Friends, as Acha told you that ACGSA has been working on all the three pillars, you know. And today, when we really were discussing about that on which pillar we need to stress on, it was the first pillar, that is, you know, heritage and vernacular. And it came from the mind of every member of ACGSA. Yes, I think this is the first thing, because in this pandemic for last so many months, you know, we have been always discussing about the vernacular wisdom that has given very good significance to the society, and people have started, you know, realizing that what actually our ancestors has given to the society, and we being an architect are always learning a lot from our, you know, forefathers, and especially in the subcontinent, in the southeast part of Asia. I think we are really privileged enough to be lucky that our heritage has got all strong pillars. So actually, it is, you know, it's a fact that redefining sustainability can be through vernacular wisdom, because we cannot forget our culture, we cannot forget our legacies. We need to follow. So actually, sustainability is vernacular, vernacular is sustainability. And it's no surprising in saying that sustainability is the modern day term for actually vernacular architecture. I don't remember any old vernacular architecture or any architecture from heritage which was not actually, you know, responding to the local climatic condition. In those days, it was very beautifully, it was very wittily crafted, and this architecture, the built form, the living spaces, the living settlements have come up like anything, and actually they were very resilient in the society. So sustainability is achieved when we do the three components, that is the environment, society, and the economics. This is what is all about vernacular architecture. So always when we talk about vernacular, there were certain social spaces, there were certain, spaces for the growth and the economics, society was considered. So all those factors were integrated. The only thing that was not done was the documentation part, in which I think we architects, designer are doing now things documented. And finally, we are realizing, yes, they were the Bible for us. In fact, we need to follow them religiously. So all these elements, which when you talk about water efficiency, it was there in vernacular architecture, it was there in our old days wisdom, indoor environmental quality. We were not having air conditioner at that time. So, of course, indoor air quality was there. There were always durable and maintainable design. We don't have RCCs, we don't have state-of-art materials. So there were materials which we use, which basically, act as a very sustainable material. Of course, most importantly, we need to talk about energy efficiency that time, because people were there were no energy. Which energy they were about to waste? So they absolutely talk in terms of energy efficiency. And there were eco-friendly materials. I remember when I'm in the city of Jaipur, which most of my friends have witnessed. I have seen the materials which have been used were actually, they were eco-friendly materials. They were non-toxic. They were not causing any damages to the environment, to the humans. And last but not the least, they always thought in terms of waste reduction. So friends, I think it's a high time, when we think all these three pillars of sustainability, which actually was there in vernacular architecture, local climatic conditions, local materials, and most importantly, local design principles. And now I think we have got lots and lots of speakers, expert speakers, whom I'm a small pawn in front of them. We are going to speak about the topic, redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom. And I think today we have reached a point where it is utmost important for us to sincerely think on retaining and reviving the environment. So I think let's go green by this forum and try to understand and try to take the essence from each region of Acacia. Rita, just to bring in a kind notice that we have got 7-member institute present today who are going to prove their viewpoint about vernacular wisdom, how the vernacular wisdom, and I think we are going to document that. And Pata Ranan, who is our next speaker from Thailand, I'll just give a brief introduction. She's an expert in this field, and after completing PhD in architecture from University of Queensland, Australia in 2006, Pataraman has been working for the Faculty of Architecture in Start University. Her areas of expertise are designed for the tropical environment, building materials, and enclosure thermal control, as well as computer simulation for the performance-based design. Currently, she is designated as JICA local consultant to work with the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration. And she is currently the committee member of Thai Green Building Institute, that is TGBI, Smart Cities, Clean Energy, as well as giving consultancy services as JICA local consultant to work with the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration to strengthen on the Bangkok Master Plan on Climate Change 2013 to 2023. So, Pataranan, we have heard a lot about you from Acha, and let us look forward that we should be benefited from your presentation. So over to you, Pataranan. Can you unmute yourself? You are on mute. You are on mute, Pataranan. Yeah.
Thank you for the introduction. I was just stunned by the big footprint you showed us. Okay. Of showing the real-time presentation, but I was aware of the time limitation, like in 10 minutes. So I'm giving you my video. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with you today to share how we redefine sustainability through vernacular stuff. My view is from Thailand.
Can you please share your screen? Atanan cannot see the screen.
Sorry. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Can you make it full screen?
it's wonderful to be here with you today to share how we redefine sustainability through vernacular wisdom. My view is from Thai side, how I observe the evolution of architecture and environment in Thailand. When we talk about vernacular architecture, we might be more familiar with the term architecture with our architects and the work of non-professionals. Professionals give the definition that they involve living environment and knowledge that has been passed down for generations to become the architect. In other aspects, vernacular architecture source builders, materials, and things. If we look at it this way, this kind of architecture is suitable and suitable because it truly respects the site and has no impact on other Earth. As nothing can stay unchanged, architecture. However, vernacular architecture seems to be separated from architecture, especially in Thailand, where the formal architectural education was established and mainly influenced by theories of the West. When we talk about sustainability these days, we also have another to define architecture by creating assessment tools as we can see them. Even though they are very useful tools and they drive towards sustainability, we always think that of culture and local wisdom are missing. Therefore, I'd like to show some case studies that try to make a link between local wisdom and sustainability. This is Untitled, which means House of Dharma. It's designed by ASSOCHAM, community architect. The Untitled house has a depth that makes it much more than just a place to live. Rooms. Each with its own particular use. The Thai word tham or dharma is integral to Shat, nature, and Tamada or natural, and suggests tranquility to the life. Tham is a residence. It's a workshop for naturally dyed fabrics and a storehouse for Usado brand. Consists of the large house, Dharma Hall, Holy Man House, house, and workshop. We can see how design space that gives the spirit of traditional Thai house. There are openings and screens to promote in the key. Another example is Coco Valley Resort by Eco Architect. It's a renovation project that changed the original house to become a resort in Nang province in the northern part of Thailand. Since the owner of the project owns cocoa farm in this area, there are three other design concepts: cocoa, products, and resort. The architect took them into consideration by creating the resort style villas using a strong shingle roof. The space has high ceiling and gives the feeling of lightness. The design promotes cross ventilation and stack ventilation to reduce humidity, thus enhancing thermal comfort. Now, it's still relatively new to tourism. Most people work as crop in this area. Luckily, Coco Valley Resort is one of the few farms that's open to the public. The owner
was a chocolate theme. Both tourists and locals enjoy homestays by experience over there. Bang Phompenh by Onion is a hotel in Ayutthaya province, the ancient city of Thailand. For Bang Phompenh's exterior design come from the quality of the site and its surrounding. Namely, an ancient fortress, Phom Penh, by quality of the site, is meant the best by the Pasang River meets Chapaya River. According to the architect, water hyacinth normally float up and down this river. The whirlpool where the two rivers meet give the spatial scenery as elsewhere. The architect separates two buildings, the restaurant and the egg room, to provide view to the guests right away when they enter the site. There are more surprising elements further down towards the river, such as a viewpoint from Big Phompenh Fortress and a huge next to a swimming pool. A wooden wall was built between the swimming pool and the main circulation as an extension of the main wooden staircase of the hotel to provide privacy to the hotel guests. Brick is a common material in Ayutthaya. The architect chose to use four different sizes of handmade bricks. The width and thickness are the same, but different in length. This craftsmanship work gives special texture that capture light and shadow differently. The bricks are local materials and no impact. They are produced in a factory in driving distance. My last example is Hotel Beverly's Paradise. Designed and smart landscape architects. It demonstrates the process of reconstruction, reinterpretation, and rearrangement of an external appearance. With the use of a new device such as the labyrinth, a Greek mythology, represented in new angles, the result is an intriguing contemporary hybrid architecture. And of new vernacular architecture that responds to its site, the building envelope of the front side was designed to tell stories about Khao Yai, about how it became home to different architectural styles from local to together like a collage. The different gable roof patterns became an outstanding feature of the hotel. By using the approach, it provides experience. In terms of appearance, it's about architecture and appreciation by storytelling. From the storytelling technique, the hotel consists of 5 chapters or so. And cafe, the hotel and lobby zone, the villa zone, banquet and conference room zone, and the dining and food zone. Each chapter or zone is connected by a walking path, creating the world of labyrinth for new and unexpected adventures. The play of planar elements and facade behind each door arouses the curiosity for the guests. Thus, guests see the chaotic environment of Khao Yai and shows the attempt to explore the architecture. So I'd like to conclude that redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom is essential as sustainable architecture needs to connect with local tradition and culture. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patran, for the wonderful, insights which you have taken us virtually to Thailand, So what nice other than this when you are in this virtual
Just
world.
try to draw your attention to come to Thailand.
I think we need to learn a lot from the vernacular wisdom of Thailand. Thank you so much. Now, over to architect Rover Chuang. Rover is a member of HKIA. He's director in LNO Limited. He's the past chairman for Board of Internal Affairs, Hong Kong Institute of Architects. And Architect Rover is recognizing for publishing the boundaries of architectural quality and team collaboration. And Rover has special expertise in master planning, concept designing, detailed design, and project administration of medical projects, which is actually one of the international schools, high-end office, commercial, hotel projects, leisure, and recreational projects. And with his dedication to the quality, Rover has led award-winning projects in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. So Architect Rover, requested our chairman Achad that he is going to speak, touch on the heritage part rather than the vernacular part, which I think is acceptable to the forum now. Rover, over to you for your kind presentation. Rover.
Yes, thanks, Tocha. Let me switch on the sharing. Okay. Here we are, right?
Yeah. Yep. You can make full screen. Yeah.
Oh. Good morning. See you here and it's a get some background. Okay. Architecture and climate and for the people. Vernacular architectural forms and also result in different and diversified tradition, culture, and rituals. Certainly, we have to materials and quality all architecture. On okay, what we can see is a lot of buildings are having deep shadows. What are they? The veranda, deep balcony. The 20s, basically all of them are having deep balcony and veranda, simply because Hong Kong is also a subtropic area, similar to Singapore and all of our fenced areas. It's hot and humid, and that's why to shade the hot sun and to enhance the ventilation is the responsibility of us architects to design the buildings. Certainly, if we go further back to 19th century, we still have this building in Hong Kong. It is some timber structure with K-tile roofing, and most importantly, most of them have courtyard, internal courtyard. Of course, the microclimate created will help to achieve a comfort environment for the seasons in the year without the use of air conditioning. And also to light up the space and to create social interactive areas. Okay, when we start from that, to look into the development of the vernacular architecture in Hong Kong, it's not difficult to find examples. Here is a building built in 1892, end of 19th century. It's a hospital. I was there. I was not in the hospital, but when I visited the building, it's still cool in summer, and also nicely preserved, and also served the purpose. Now it is revitalized as a community complex for the district. '50s, we need a lot of new building to accommodate the people and also the working area. So all these building forms start to be erected in Hong Kong. As you can see, the architects or the decision makers at that time continue the deep balcony approach to have the living space and the working space shaded, and also to have all the interactive area reserved. We preserve this building, and right now inside this building is for creativity, for art, and also for some creation design. And when you go into the area with the air conditioning, you can still feel the intent, the heart, the concept of those designers in creating the balcony, the veranda, and also the communal area, the gathering space, which is now in exhibition areas. Samples in 50 and also preserved and revitalized in 10 years before. It is a quarter for the Married Police, and now it's a shopping area, retail area, and also a showcase area for the artists and all sorts of activity. Certainly, when we revitalize the building, there will be some new addition. Here is an exhibition area created to connect the two blocks, to continue to serve the public by this elegant structure. Housing estate, high-rise, perhaps in 70s, needs change. We need more privacy, we need views, we need more. However, some convergence can be seen. The passage, the corridor, or veranda, if you like, go in introvert to go here to the courtyard that we had once before. Another example in circular shape, built in 70, nicely built and is still serving the public. Let's jump, okay, to last year. Another example is a sports center newly built. Again, we can see some footprint, or we can see some inherent style that the use of the courtyard is being designed and built inside this complex with circulations not only on the same level, but connecting different levels to connect people and also the function, no matter the basketball court and studio and everywhere, so that the people can mingle around. Course, we have other building elements, some sort of projection, some sort of interlocking, some sort of in and out to shade the sun and so on. All these are some sort of effort being done by the architects. However, I should say we can together do. Regarding the material, I would try to quote an example from Herson. It's a project done by Herson associated with Waco. We are working with the material world, not against it. Every material has its own character, and also it's created intimate feeling for the people, which is essential. It's not only a bank wall or large scale building that we can forget all this. To end my presentation, I would like to share a program done by the Institute. It's all about community engagement. as a quick summary, I think for the users, by the people, and also by the decision makers, the vernacular architecture get evolved and developed throughout the years. Say from whenever there's some sort of regulatory control come up, the building will change with the time and with the users. That's why we see the challenges. Are all decision makers really know what they are doing? How about the loss of craftsmanship? How can we inherent or we capture those lost craftsmanship? How can we let our new generation know about the value of all this vernacular building and heritage? And also how we can get our public engaged to contribute. That's why we have a program called Coalize Our Heritage in year 2019 to arrange culture to get the public engaged, to let them know what's being done and how to appreciate the architecture, especially the historical one or the vernacular one. And also we have all a series of program or functions to let the master to draw the attention from the public about the craftsmanship, and also to have workshop with the new generation, how to think about the next generation of the architecture and to design and to construct further visions. It's quick, some sort of event. Yeah, it's good. Last year before the pandemic, hope next year when the pandemic is finished, we can have it again. Of these works, if the master is replaced by those kind of mass production and overconsumption, then it's really a threat to us, the culture, and also to all the traditions. Program, we are so happy, so to see a lot of new generations and architects sharing the ideas about the vernacular and also the heritage architecture. And we hope to share with you more. And I really think it's important to work with the public and the decision makers hand in hand so that we can carry through all the great ideas in the vernacular architectures towards the sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rover, for that beautiful tour to Hong Kong. I think with the permission of President Rita So, we can charge a virtual $100 registration charge. We are going to be, of course, to everywhere, So Rita, if you allow me, can I come to the kitty of $100 US to our Acacia account?
Yeah. Put a program. Yeah.
Thank you, Rita. So actually, from our Chinese Institute of Architects, Architect Rai was about to come, but he had some important commitments. So let me welcome. Can I see the profile of Architect Yao from China? Architect Yao is the Assistant Architect in CITIC, General Institute of Architectural Design and Research, and she's a member of Architectural Society of China. So she will be doing the presentation on behalf of Architect Rai. So over to you, Architect Yao.
Can I share the screen?
Can you give the rights to Architect Yao?
Can I share the screen? Oh yeah.
You need to, Amit, can we give rights to Architect Yao?
Yes, it is, sir.
Yeah.
She is the presenter.
You're the presenter now. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you guys see the screen?
You go to display setting. You go to display setting. Second icon.
Can you see that? The screen.
Click on the display setting.
You go to
Second option.
Second option.
on the top,
On top.
on the left hand top. Yes.
I think it's here.
Yeah, you can. You need to do the full screen. Yes.
Yeah. So I would like to share the vernacular heritage and rural sustainable development in China. So first, I would like to introduce the role of vernacular heritage in national strategies on sustainable rural development. The denomination system of China's traditional village list, which was initiated in 2012, drew nationwide attention on the issue of holistic conservation of vanishing traditional villages in China, and has so far denominated over 4,000 traditional villages in China, and has over 4,000 traditional villages throughout China. In 2017, the National Rural Revitalization Strategy was issued, and it considers the revitalization of rural areas not only an important basis for a healthy national economic system, but also an effective approach to the inheritance of traditional culture, and vice versa. Vernacular cultural heritage is regarded as one of the sustainable resources for such a rural development. In such a circumstance, theoretical research and practical projects have been carried out throughout China, making use of vernacular-built heritage for sustainable rural development. In this current rural context, conversation and adaptive reuse of vernacular-built heritage, as well as the revitalization of vernacular architectural wisdom, including relevant knowledge, aesthetic values, building techniques, and craftsmanship, are becoming the new nationwide topics in different relevant fields. This condition gives vernacular heritage and underpinning wisdom in China a great chance to revitalize, and successful cases emerge, which lead to methodological accumulation and more reflections on the role of the vernacular heritage in modern rural as well urban sustainable development. The ASG's effort in promoting vernacular heritage and its role in modern society. As the top national society of Chinese architectural professionals, the Architectural Society of China, ASC, lays much emphasis on the conservation and modern usage of vernacular heritage. It established the sub-societies of relevant subjects to promote theoretical research and practical application, such as the sub-society of urban and rural-built heritage, as well as the more regional specified sub-society of Lingnang architecture. The former is aimed to adaptive regeneration of built heritage while conserving it, and the latter pays much attention to the application of Lingnang architectural culture in modern design besides more profound academic studies on it. Apart from these perennial activities in those sub-societies, the annual assembly this year from October 28th to October 30th in Shenzhen had the main topic of good design, good construction, promoting the high-quality development of urban and rural construction, which concentrated on vernacular wisdom in the sub-forum of vernacularism and green architecture. In this forum, inspiring speeches range from common senses and wisdom in Yunnan vernacular architecture to new vernacular and new approaches, recurrent evaluation in architecture. Other inspiring speeches include the case studies in Hubei province under the theme of reconstruction of beautiful rural DNA. And we've chosen some cases of the vernacular heritage and architectural experiments in China. So this one is the Jianglin Pengwu Huts. This project in North Guangdong province adopted vernacular architectural forms of Pengwu huts of Yao minority to build a new public space with the functions of daily communication and temporary accommodations for those villagers and their guests. In this project, new residential structures in traditional styles coexist with renovated aesthetic ancestral halls and ponds, as well as newly designed leisure facilities out of local materials, forming an ideal combination of the past and present of the local community. And the second case is the communal center on the bamboo shed. In this project, architects activated the ruins of the former Gao family's residence, making use of the remains of the partial exterior walls, as well as the foundation and floor of the rooms and the courtyard, while erecting 6 huge umbrellas out of local bamboo, thus forming a multifunctional center for recreation, entertainment, collective activities, as well as exhibition of local history and culture for both villagers and tourists. A public library in Tulou School. Traditional Tulou shows how local people develop vernacular wisdom to invent architectural forms that reconcile social and environmental needs. Literally, earthen building, Tulou is a traditional communal Hakka architecture type found majorly in Fujian province in South China. It embodies a perfect manipulation of such architectural elements as form, material, setting, and spatial arrangement to meet the functional requirement of communal living and defensive organization while building up a harmonious relationship with the mountainous environment. In this picture, we can see here is a lasted experimental case in which a residential Tulou was transformed into an educational building, namely a school. It shows how the architect turned the original little window into an entrance leading to a public library in this school, which is here. And this case is a landscape toilet. It's a project in Zhujiang village, Tangkou County, Guangdong province. It is an inspiring case in big wave of so-called toilet revolution in rural China. And it recently where sanitary facility upgrading is high on the agenda for rural sustainable development. In this project, the old clumsy toilet with poor and inadaptive inadequate facilities were demolished and the building materials was used in the construction of the new one on the same site. Village History Museum. This case is in Qingfeng Village, Anhui Province. The target building used to be the public house of the production team, and the first floor of which was devoted to storing and processing the grains, while the second floor was used for breaks and meetings. After a long time of idleness, the first floor became a transitory parking space for motorcycles. In this project, the architect renovated the space for a new function of village history museum, replacing the broken architectural parts. We configured the spaces for new functions, while leaving most of the original architectural components and traces of activities such as war slogans, carpenter sketches, intact as the item to display in the museum. And lastly, is some work we are doing right now. It's the CITIC project in Chongyang County, Hubei Province. Located in central China, Hubei Province demonstrates a great variety of vernacular architectural heritage. The main materials, for example, range from stone, wood, brick, earth in different parts of this province, while the vernacular architecture styles diversify geographically too. Currently, rural revitalization strategy was carried out intensively in villages throughout Hubei, where the adaptive reuse of revitalization cases of vernacular heritage somewhat illustrate the overall situation in China. Adding the Chinese experience to the global scenario of vernacular heritage, conservation, and revitalization. Responding to the nation's call to revitalize the rural area, CITIC combined its expertise in vernacular architecture and rural construction, and devoted itself to the rural sustainable development with a current aim at poverty alleviation. The pilot project was carried out in Chongyang County in northern Hubei. The main task include the proposal of the sustainable rural development, tourism planning, village environmental improvement, upgrading of public facilities such as village administration center and a mini park. Field work has been carried out in 7 villages to identify local vernacular heritage resources, both tangible and intangible, and the development planning is supposed to bring out a much favorable condition of local sustainable development in the near future.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you very much. I think the dream which our ACGSA Acha has thought, we are actually going on in the right direction. We have been getting benefited from all the member institutes, and Acha really is a very strong pillar. Every institution will learn from each other. Now go to our next dynamic speaker, who is a dynamic member from Vietnam and I think associated with ACGSA for long, architect Tran. Nguyen Tan is the Dean of FAE, Phuong Dong University, Hunai. Vietnam, and a senior researcher, Human Settlement Institute. He is the member of Executive Board, Vietnam Institute of Architects, and Deputy Chair, Foreign Affairs Committee, VIA. Architect Tran is the member of Education Committee of Vietnam Institute of Architects. He is also a member of Acacia Committee on Green and Sustainable Architecture and Acacia Committee on Architecture Education. Architect Tran is the advisor of Vietnam Architecture General, lecturer of Vietnam National University, Hanoi, and he is an architect for Asian Architects, Hanoi, Vietnam. So Tran, we really are very desperate that you take us to Vietnam and show the insight of vernacular wisdom in Vietnam. Over to you, Architect Tran.
Yeah, thank you, Tusha. I would like to share my presentation today. Okay, it's working. Did you see my presentation?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Today, I would like to share some project of Vietnam architects who meet with the vernacular wisdom. With the topic of my presentation is vernacular in the new expressions of architecture. So today, my presentation have three issues. The first is vernacular wisdom applied in traditional architecture of Vietnam. The second, sustainable design based on local experiences. And the last, the future of the new vernacular architecture. So as you know, the globalization has increasingly widespread, not only from economic, but penetrate to all things, to culture, from culture penetrates into specialized industries and professions, and adopting culture through architectural duplication has gradually become a global problem, losing identity, especially in Asia, which mostly developing countries. So technology was introduced and replicated, which duplicate the same identifiable buildings and cities with simulated contents and form. So in 2020, only 43% of the world population living in rural area. But you know, the rural area is the most vernacular area. So if we let vernacular, it means that the urbanization is spread out. So we should think that how many resources do we spend for 1% growth? So we can modern technology can solve everything because it's cheap. It's not cheap. It's expensive, and it demand overall application process, and it's take a long time, and it's quite difficult to sit with the country that not rich. So we have to answer the question that are we developing really sustainably? So we should think that we should turning back and discover again the vernacular and local experience, because vernacular experience are very sustainable and deeply rooted values, especially in the field of architecture. So from vernacular, we can see that its architecture, its language, its native, its nurture, it adapt areas and from ancestor, its circulation, and aesthetic. So vernacular wisdom applied in traditional architecture, we should think about the climate, material and skill, and culture and lifestyle. So you know that vernacular architecture in the past is very green because relationship between people and the environment is very harmonious. Vernacular wisdom is accumulated in which collective experience passed on, continuously edited and perfected from generation to generation. So in Vietnam, vernacular or traditional building designed and built meet with geography and landscape, and the shape of the building with local material and sustainability to the climate. And residential space are considered as an independent ecological unit. So we can see that from the traditional building, the eave of the house covers the sun, rain, and reduce dust, and creating a covered open living space in traditional house. Or sunshade board create an air cushion and be mobile in use to catch the wind, block the sun, or create a lively facade in traditional house. Not only different from country by country, but when we can comparison between a communal house of Vietnam on the left picture and Japan in the right picture, we can see that the floor lifting and column system between Vietnam's communal house and Japanese traditional indoor have some similar form. Or we can comparison between the mud wall from Malaysia on the left and Vietnam on the right. We can see that we can use the same material. Or the trip house in Penang is the left, or in Hanoi is right. You can see that we can see some similar shape, as well as organize some open space or small courtyard inside the house. So we should think about the sustainable design based on local experience, that in the modern period, vernacular architecture is always respect and emphasize harmony. So the new design trends combine modern and vernacular. This trend was started in Vietnam in 1960, which named modern tropicalized architecture. You can see that facade of the University of Medicine and Pharmacy in Ho Chi Minh City. You can see that it built 50 years ago, but now it's still using and meet with the climate change. And you can see that two-layer facade with cushion in between. Brick hole allows wind to blow but prevents sunlight from entering the room. The ventilation slots incorporated in the facade shape have proven ventilation efficiency for floor, including semi-basement. Or University of Pedagogy of Huế, so two-layer facade with cushion in between. Brick hole allow wind to blow but prevent sunlight. Or the Reunification Palace in Ho Chi Minh City, you can see the image of bamboo tree in Vietnam culture. It's symbolizing for the gentleman. It's used to create a two-layer facade for the palace. So you can see the outside and inside with two-layer facades, and they do not use air conditioner because it's meet with the living or the activities of people inside without air conditioner. So when we take a survey on the people who live in the small city in Vietnam, so they prior to be addresses to climate when build a house in Vietnam. The first they insisting that they should protect the sun and heat. The second is muddy. The third is cold. The fourth is dry, and the last is flat. So we can compare it between the traditional vernacular and the new vernacular. On the left is traditional, and on the right is a blooming house designed by H&P Architecture. Or from the left is traditional, or the right is a new, I call new vernacular, with the view of the house of, in Long An in the south of Vietnam. So the solution to using a deep eave to reduce sunlight, reduce heat radiations, create an open living space with a covered roof at Long An House in the south of Vietnam, because we have a sunlight hours every day of the year. And with the inner courtyard, the cooling water in the center of Long An House will make the climate inside the house is more cooler. Another kind of natural ventilation from outside, an open courtyard with deep eaves at Cam Thanh Community House in the central part of Vietnam. Or even a living room with open space in a villa in Ho Chi Minh City. Or for bigger project, we can see the hotel in Ho Chi Minh City, the Mist Hotel, and they make a solution to deepening the outer wall layer, creating an open space combined with planting tree to reduce sunlight, reduce heat from impacting the interior space. Or compare the project for a kindergarten in the mountainous area of Vietnam in the north. So you can see the left is traditional pillar house of ethnic minority people, and the right is a new kindergarten. So the architects create familiar sense for children from open space, each floor on pole to adapt the topography with tube flood happening sometimes. So the water can go under the building, so it's not destroy the building. So the children will feel familiar and safety sense if they are playing under the cover roof. Another project is a small house in Hà Tĩnh province in the central Vietnam. So you can see the natural ventilation from outside through the inside, and with roof slot. And we can see the sunlight and the two layer on behind, and some ventilation from natural can go through the house. And when we come to check this house, and the owner of this house said that they rarely use air conditioner even in the very hot summer, because the house is very cool. So they reduce the fee of the budgets for electricity consumption. Or another kinds of the traditional vernacular and the new vernacular. You can see the cushion or the facade. Yeah, it's a house in the suburb of Hanoi. Yeah, inside and outside and inside. So another project in the north of Vietnam, you can see that we create many open space. It's good for the children for playing under the cover of the roof, and it is with the climate with very hot and rain. And another hotel in Hội An city also the same. And for the strip house, another kind of facade, which is we make a two-layer facade and skylight to adjust the house microclimate. And we call that is a resort in house in Da Nang city. Or another kind of strip house from vernacular to the new vernacular. You can see that the new house also very long, yes, very long, and like a tube strip. But the architect make many world and smart courtyard to ventilate long tube house, and the wind can flow through the house. And some image of the inside space with the natural light and natural wind. So which is like we call the new vernacular. And another project is the villas in Vũng Tàu province in the south of Vietnam. So from the natural integration, the architect make in and out connection by private and public connection. And for the diagram of the floor plan, you can see that we have create more views or more ventilation. And another kinds of traditional vernacular with we built a house by the soil. So the new vernacular, we can see projects with vernacular material, with vernacular shape, vernacular construction technology, but for the new house. Or another projects also using the same material. And the natural ventilations. Another the coffee shop. Yeah. In the Nha Trang province, we can see the use of very natural and local material, which can be recycled or exploitation from nature, and we can make very natural material. And the last is the future for vernacular architecture. And we can see that the widespread of globalization is fading the identity of cities and the region. So growth based on the identification of production methods, the same production methods, the same products will leading us to the identification of the way of life. So finally, lead us to culture homogenization, that everything is similar. So vernacular experience will make everything is different and emphasize our identity. So if people increasingly depend on technology, too much on technology, the cities will increasingly consume more energy. So vernacular we will answer the question that how far the limit point if growth based on the exploitation of resources. And the second is between expensive technology and vernacular experiences, which factor has a better, more suitable comparative advantage. So for Vietnam, we should think that vernacular, because Vietnam is a developing country, so we think that vernacular experience is the key to preserving identity. And the vernacular experience will help us to cope with the assimilation, pressure of globalization, and over technologiization. So design process must pay attention not only to the physical, but should pay attention to mental or tangible sustainability factor. So for conclusion, I think that growth formula or formula for growth is measured by sum of technology and resources. If one values increase while the other decrease, there will be no new growth or no development. Yes. So the last thing that I want, last but not least, I think that to preserve vernacular experience, we are not only saving a prison for future generation, but also our responsibility for future. Give vernacular experiences and promote it to be joined our current life is one of the key solutions for saving for our sustainable future. So we should think that the city is for everyone. So we need to preserve vernacular experience for future generation. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you very much, Tran. It was a nice, catchy words, old vernacular to new vernacular. I think a big takeaway. So till now, I would like to just put one conclusion out of all the presentation. This is my interpretation that vernacular architecture actually is the basis of formulating compatible living environments. I think this is one takeaway, but architect Pataran is compiling everything, Acha, if I'm not wrong. She will be summarizing after some time and we'll put that summary before the website.
Yes, she's gonna summary, but I think it would be great if speakers share the presentation into our group.
Just remind. So now over to over to our next speaker, architect Anjana Shrestha, who is from Nepal, Sona. Architect Anjana did B.Arch from Kathmandu Engineering College, Tribhuvan University, and MSc in Energy for Sustainable Development from Institute of Engineers, Tribhuvan University. She has been working as a senior lecturer at Kathmandu Engineering College since year 2010. Besides being an academician, she is a proprietor of her firm, Sustainable Building Design Nepal. And presently, she is the young treasurer of Society of Nepalese Architect, has been attached to ACGSA as a representative since long. So, Anjana, we are really desperate to hear from you about Nepal, as we always love to see architecture of Nepal. So, over to you, Anjana.
Thank you so much, Tushar sir, for the wonderful introduction. So let me share my presentation. Okay. Okay, are my slides visible to you all?
Yes, you can make it full screen. Yes.
Yeah, it's full screen. Okay. Thank you, Namaste. Thank you for providing me with the wonderful platform to share the vernacular wisdom of my country. So I'd like to start saying that vernacular architecture itself is a model for sustainability. It has evolved with the need of human adaptation to the ambient environment and constraints of resources, concretely engaging the design issues with locality. As a result, evolved the local identity, but it is presently somehow being triggered by globalization. However, every place and region still have their unique characteristics that distinguishes it from the other places, and that is the core of identity. Well known as a small and beautiful country, Nepal is divided into 3 geographical regions, with Tarai on the lowermost belt, hilly in between, and Himalaya region on the uppermost belt, with their own climate responsive and energy efficient vernacular architecture based on local materials and resources. This glimpse of the Tarai settlement shows loose settlement pattern on the plain land suitable for its hot and humid climate, using wood, thatch, and mud as local materials. This glimpse is of hilly region, with settlements along terraced edges with moderate climate and semi-compact planning. The large roof overhangs allow winter sunlight and restricts summer sunlight. The Himalaya region have compact settlement to minimize heat loss in the cold climate, where the dwellings are attached to one another. Locally available stones are used for thick walls that are thermally insulating. Besides the rural setting, the core urban area of Kathmandu, the capital city, is rich in heritage and has its own vernacular architecture, planned along courtyard that function both for climate response and social interaction, with narrow streets having row houses alongside, creates a uniform, beautiful urban fabric. Commonly built with wood, brick, and mud mortar, having good thermal insulation. Even the pedestrian narrow streets have semi-permeable pavements for groundwater recharge. Ponds and Tungedhara, that stand for stone tap, work on the principle of flowing water, where the ponds are replenished by an ancient canal, Raskulo, and this carries a huge significance in the socio-cultural aspect. However, the decline of local identity has been a chain reaction of globalization of cultural values and architectural styles. Architecture has modified through time, through trial and error, to fulfill society's need in harmony to the modern technologies rather than the ambient environment. This is the glimpse of Bar Park village at hilly region of Nepal. Before the massive earthquake 2015, the small Bar Park village was known for its picturesque landscape and its thatched roof houses that looked very organic. Now, after earthquake reconstruction, Bar Park is reconstructed using RCC, bricks, and CGI seats, and the village has lost its original essence. New construction materials and technologies such as concrete, steel, big glass opening, and air conditioning became essential in most of the new buildings, with total abandonment to local materials and the ambient environment. However, there are remarkable attempts of the present to be inspired from where endurance of the local identity has been achieved and the built environment has followed the principles of sustainable development. I'd like to explain through 10 inspiring examples of Nepal. This is a green school constructed on a 3 acres land at the hilly region of Nepal with ramped earth technology as its distinct feature, where today's age requires integration of the new innovations with the vernacular architecture. Stabilized ramped earth technology with steel structure is one of those examples. The architecture emulates the hillside vernacular dwelling with climate-responsive design features in terms of orientation, thermal insulation, solar electricity, water treatment, and groundwater recharge. From the community scale to the residential scale follows the similar principle of ramped earth at Matugar, which stands for a house made of mud located at Kathmandu. Carefully planned for adequate daylight and ventilation, this house has been a prototype of contemporary sustainable home in Nepal. The third example is a library building conceptualized by a young group of architects teamed up as a bari. It was reconstructed after the 7.8 magnitude earthquake in 2015. With resemblance to the vernacular form, use of bamboo as structural roofing support is the special feature of this building. Yet another example of integrating innovations into the conventional techniques and materials. The fourth example is of restoration that has a huge significance in heritage and vernacular wisdom. Namunaghar, that stands for model house, is owned by a conservationist, Ravindra Puri, and it is an example of a successful restoration. Restoration of a 175 years old home, which was almost home to chicken coops, has now given it life that even survived the 2015 earthquake. It has infused contemporary Nepali architecture with 80% of the materials reused, especially bricks and wood. Beyond his own model house, conservationist Puri developed the concept of a model village, moving away from an urbanized world to the hills, built with the aim of promoting the cultural heritage of the country with yards, tile roofs, mud plaster floors of terracotta, artistic doors and windows made of salwood. It has 50 residential houses with common stone taps, resting areas with a high resemblance to the vernacular architecture. Now, beyond the urban horizon, let's take a look towards the rural delight. This is the radio station at Mustang, planned very carefully as per the local freezing windy climate. Thick local stone wall envelops the corridors and courtyards as wind and cold shade. Local stones are used with contemporary technique of reinforced concrete and stone masonry, and glasses are very gracefully integrated to the local stones. Another example is a school at Dhuksan, a hilly region of Nepal, where 5 buildings are made of 5 different local materials. For example, the earth house made of mud brick, rammed earth house made of rammed earth, the rock house is built of the local rocks, and the glass house has been interestingly made of scrap windows and glasses that were the leftover after the earthquake 2015. So all these houses act as a demo for the fraternity. And the 9th example is the conservation of the timeless culture and architecture of the Newars that have been preserved till date in the beautiful town of Bandipur. It is a community-driven redevelopment project in support of Bandipur Ecological and Tourism Development Project that was initiated not only to revive the vernacular essence, but also the cultural life of the project. The project aims to provide lifelong economic sustainability by incorporating tourism promotion in the area. And this is the last example, which is actually more related to heritage than vernacular, but I like to share this in this platform because this is the recent big achievement in our country of which our fraternity is proud of. The successful reconstruction of a heritage landmark, Rani Pokhuri, meaning Queen's Pond, is a historic artificial pond in Kathmandu, which was severely damaged in the 2015 earthquake and has been recently reconstructed. But the journey was not easy. It carries a 5 years long struggle of resolving disputes because attempts were made to use concrete RCC structure within the heritage. If it would have happened, we would not be able to call it a heritage anymore. But the effort from the fraternities and the voices from the locals to save the heritage have given it a glorifying end, which is in fact an inspiring beginning to many projects in the future. So I like to conclude saying that, yes, traditional societies were the real pioneers of sustainable development over time in the perspective of vernacular wisdom. Nevertheless, we need to revive the culture and glory, but it has been seen possible through collective effort, like from media, from documentation of historic places and buildings, through research, and also teaching students not only about the history of architecture, but also about the adaptation of the culture of architecture in the future. From community effort, civil society leaders raising their upright voice, big investors taking interest in the sector, government and non-government organizations focusing in reconstruction in vernacular manner and focusing on tourism as a driving agent. And beyond that, today's age demands creative integration of modern innovations with vernacular architecture, preserving the glory of the past and achieving sustainability. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Anjana. It was a beautiful insight of Nepalese architecture from the vernacular context point of view. Thank you so very much. Now over to our next speaker, architect Debato Sau, who has been a very pioneer in flourishing the agendas of Acacia Committee of Green and Sustainable Architecture. So everyone knows him, but still I will read his brief introduction. Architect Debato Sau is a graduate in architecture from then BE College, Shibpur, and a master's in urban design from Jadavpur University, Kolkata in the year 1989, and is one of the founder, partner, and the principal architect of the architecture firm eSpace. He has received many awards, several awards like JK State Architect of the Year Award, Hindware Architect Design Award, Glit Design Honors 2016, and he is a visiting lecturer and jury members in various architecture colleges and competition, and he is the present council member of IIA, and he's the chairman of ASSOCHAM GEM West Bengal chapter, and he's the immediate past chairman for ACJSA, that is Acacia Committee for Green and Sustainable Architecture. We are very desperate to hear your presentation from Indian context point of view. Architect Debato Sau, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for the introduction. Just let me share my screen. Yeah, just to start with, I want to wish a very good morning from Calcutta to you all, especially the Acacia President, Rita, all the dignitaries who are here, the respected speakers for today's morning, and especially those who are with us now in this webinar. Now, we know that our topic is redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom. I will just start with why vernacular. You see, this is the traditional vernacular settlement or goals formed by the people by applying the knowledge and the practices, and which is handed down from generation to generations. And the vernacular approaches were created from the need, the local climate, the social cultural background, and which is unique in each climatic region, which is the context for the vernacular. No, but the problem is, the phenomenal irony is the contradiction between the new inventions of technology, systems, and the old practices. So the question of the hour is old or modern? And I think the answer remains within the juxtaposition of the two by adaptive development. The broad parameters to make a development sustainable through the vertical approach, that depends on the environmental aspect, the choice of material and resource, the socio-cultural aspect, and the project viability. I repeat, this project viability is the most important factor for all the heritage structures in the cities and in the urban context. I will stress upon more on projects which are not in the counties or the villages, but those which are in the cities where the FSI is very high and the financial, the model is very important for the sustenance. Now, coming to India, it is of this varied climatological diversity, starting from the tropical monsoon, the tropical savanna, the arid and the hot humid and hot desert and arid. So varied diversity of the climate throughout India. Now, starting from the northern India, from the hilly area on the lap of Himalayas, we find the structures which are made from the wooden structures, the projected balconies over the random rubble construction of locally available stones, and the slope roof for obvious reasons, and the deep balconies, which is the part and parcel of this vernacular structures, vernacular styles. Now, coming to again the North India, but in the plains, we find the structures. Say this is an example of the Jodhabai's Palace, Fatehpur Sikri. It is UP, Agra. They are always with the courtyard kind of planning, the inward planning. And I will just show you on the right. This is a new structure which was inaugurated in 2002, which is designed by famous architect Raj Reval for the Indian Parliament Library building. It is with the same concept, with the courtyard, with the local material, and with the balconies. Now, coming to the western side of our India, I will just take you to the Nathmalji Ki Haveli. This is a palace of Nathmalji, where they have used the local material. It is again planned around the courtyards. They have extensive use of jalis, the perforated stone jalis, or that protect from the harsh sunlight and the dust, and arc field, which is being used on the roof to have the insulation, and the air ducts are also there. This is another project where I have experienced a remarkable contrast in the temperature from the outside and inside. They have used the lime plaster, which was used extensively, and which is the mix of the sandstone, limestone dust, the edible pulses and pearls, and which signs still today, because these are the construction from the 10th and the 16th century, but the structures are still alive, and these are all signing today. Now, coming to the south, it is again the old courtyard planning with the slope roof, with mud plate roofing system, and then we have heard about Lalit Zakarias, who have started of various projects with the bricks and the big jalis with the vernacular style of construction. Now, coming to the east, I will just simply show you one small temple, which is Kalachap Temple, which is from the Bankura, West Bengal, which is traditionally on a stone base, and then burnt clay bricks are used extensively, which are called terracotta, and which is being used in the other parts of the world as well. And here also we find a tremendous difference in temperature between the cool sanctum at the center and the outside. Now we take all these, vernacular elements of the structures, be it jali, be it horizontal roofers of woods or brick jalis, now in our modern days, probably we are taking the concept, but we are converting to the modern materials. Maybe it is a vertical louvers or horizontal louvers, and it is the manifestation from the old vernacular styles. Now, I am from Calcutta, and I will just take some example from Calcutta. The Calcutta was born on the Marsi lands, and then the expansion of the settlement started during the British colonial times, which has resulted in numerous heritage epitomes which have persisted till today. And some of the structures, the old structures are still shining, and some of them are losing their glory. And my point is, it is very difficult to sustain all these heritage structures within the city limits where the land price is very high. And as long as the financial sustainability is not there, these projects will be winning. So I will concentrate more into this particular aspect where I have some experience on the heritage structures within the cities, where I have tried to become the heritage structures with the new structures, and it is a coexistence of the old and the new. On the left, if you see, this is a heritage structure. When this project came to be, the rear portion of this structure was tumbling down. Then ultimately, I convinced my client to retain the front portion of the structure, and on the back, I have proposed a modern building with a very plain and simple facade of glass, so that these heritage structures, it is being seen as a picture on the backdrop of the blue glass. The next project is also a very interesting project for me. This is the site plan when the project came to be. Then the rear portion of the yellow heritage structures was demolished. Then I stopped immediately the demolition of the existing structure, and we retained that. And on the back, we have proposed an 18-story residential building, but obviously with the help of the local body, the local sanctioning authority, because without their help and with the compromise of some, bylaws, otherwise, this could have been possible to build. So since the high-rise building is on the back, and we have been able to retain the structure in the front, I think the financial model that becomes viable and acceptable to the owner and the developer of this property. And that's why this heritage structure is still there, and which is coexisting with the new structures. And this structure is being occupied by the Fab India, which is a famous brand in India. It is just a comparison that with the old and the new, the old situation and the new after the renovation of the building, the staircases, the paneling. And this is another ongoing project of mine where I am keeping the existing structure in the front, which is an old colonial bungalow, and on the back, a new residential building is under construction. So this is a peaceful coexistence of the heritage structures with the help of the local bylaws, and here from the Indian Institute of Architects and the Architectural Fraternity of Kolkata, we have been able to convince the authority of Kolkata Municipal Corporation that there should be a different set of bylaws should be there to maintain and to retain the heritage structures. And we are very fortunate that the Calcutta Municipal Corporation, they were kind enough to listen to us, and there are separate rules for the heritage structures. So this is the comparison between what we have taught and how it is coming out. This is a competition which was recently we have owned. It is a Calcutta University campus, and where I want to show that the front facade, which is almost blank, that is the eastern facade, and the southern facade we have used the horizontal louvers. It is, we have taken the experience and the inspiration from the horizontal wooden louvers which were used in Bengal architecture, and here in this new proposal we have changed to the horizontal louvers with materials, and sometimes it is flat plates and sometimes it is twisted, and it is of metal strips or horizontal louvers. So this is how we are, changing. We are taking the inspiration from the horizontal architecture, and in the cities where the FSI is very high, where obviously we have to go for height, we are trying to incorporate a new style which is derived from the old structures. This is, a very famous example of a green building which was designed by Christopher Charles Benninger in Maharashtra. This is a Suzlon 1R building where, it is made of glass, but obviously there is a screen wall which is just against the glass throughout the building, reducing the heat gain of the building tremendously. And this is a platinum rated structure. So with this, I will end my presentation by saying that probably what I have said earlier, that the question was whether we should go by the old or we should go by the modern with the advent of, the development of materials, the development of construction technology. But the answer, I think, it remains within the juxtaposition of the two by adaptive development. Thank you so much for the patient hearing.
Thank you very much, Debutosda. I think we need to, maintain an equilibrium. When we need to go to urbanization, we should follow the principle of vernacular design principles and try to incorporate in our design. I think that was a well cited of all the 5 climatic zones of India in a small time of 10 minutes. That was a good effort. Thank you for inciting all those. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, over to our last speaker, architect Maya Enist, and she's from Myanmar. And thank you, Wawa, for connecting me to Maya. Architect Maya Enist has completed PhD from Mandalay Technology University, MArch and BArch from Yangon Technology University. Currently, Dr. Enist is the Director, Building Design and Inspection Section, Ministry of Education, Licensed Architect, member of Association of Myanmar Architects, and she has successfully participated on the following workshops, conferences, and training courses which are related on architecture. Training courses on Heritage Impact Assessment, that is level 2 and level 3, by the Department of Archaeology and Museum, Bagan Branch, and Archaeological Assessment Limited, Taiwan, in February 8 to 15, 2020. She has done a lot of progress towards the Myanmar's sustainable development goals with the title of Conservation Approach of Vernacular Architecture in Myanmar, Myanmar in January 23 to 25th, 2020. So we are very desperate to hear from you, Architect Mai, the insight of the vernacular architecture of Myanmar. Over to you. You unmute yourself, please. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Into the full screen? Yes.
Hello. I feel very pleased as a representative of Association of Myanmar Architects. Now I'd like to present about the sustainability of vernacular architecture in Myanmar. At first, I would like to introduce about vernacular architecture. Different scholars define about the definition of vernacular architecture. I will point out some of them. Architecture professor Paul Oliver, who wrote the 3 volumes of Encyclopedia of Vernacular Architecture of the World, defined as vernacular architecture is known as term most widely to denote indigenous, tribal, folk, peasant, and traditional architecture. And architect Bernard Radowski, who wrote Architecture Without Architects, defined as a number or length group which can explain vernacular architecture or shadow, peasant or real, traditional architecture, indigenous, primitive, and pre-industrial. According to the Untitled Chapter on the Built Vernacular Heritage 1999, the Built Vernacular Heritage is a fundamental expression of the culture of a community and of its relationship with its territories, and at the same time, in the expression of the world cultural diversity. Therefore, vernacular architecture is based on the human functional needs of the culture, including tradition, identity, belief, custom, religion, and so on, and construction process, including building material, construction technique, building radius and dimension, and depending on the respective environmental aspects, including climate and geography. And so, vernacular architecture achieves with both tangible and intangible aspects. Sharing construction knowledge from generation to generation is one of the distinctive characteristics of vernacular architecture. It can be recognized not only as building, but also landscapes, not only in urban area, but also in rural ones, not only private building, but also public ones. Now, I would like to overview of vernacular architecture in Myanmar. In Myanmar, vernacular architecture can be studied depending on local context. Vernacular design of each region possesses distinctive characteristics of its culture, climate, geography, local materials, and construction techniques. In this slide, the example of vernacular architecture, which identify of their region, can be seen with different styles. Therefore, vernacular architecture is as a living heritage which embodies the world cultural diversity. Because of this value, with vernacular heritage should be conserved to the approach sustainability. Now, I would like to show with the example of conservation work of with vernacular heritage in Myanmar. This is the Burmese traditional farmhouse. This traditional farmhouse is an example of the preservation work. This is one of the World Monument Watch 2020 in Myanmar. Preservation needs backup of long age and weather. The building, especially teakware preserved and wooden decorative arts, are valuable and rare nowadays. This residence is the example of reconstruction work. The Bojo Aung San Resident Museum is intended to be memorialized of Bojo's childhood life and his family. Today, residence was rebuilt in 1975 as an original vernacular style because of the original house was burned down in 1974. This is the example of the adapted reuse design. This house is one of the adapted reuse design from vernacular house to the resort hotel. The form composition of the building is conserved as the original vernacular design. Although the building was reconstructed in new place, the design was created through the environmental friendly. All these conservation works are approached to with sustainability. Now, I would like to talk about the vernacular concept in contemporary architecture. This is the social cultural concepts of vernacular house in central Myanmar are adapted in these contemporary houses. The spaces are organized with vernacular concepts with social cultural values and respect with environmental values. The sustainable concept finds the uses of traditional way of construction and local material can be studied in the high school and ERA region. The special layer of the school is composed as tradition. The ecological materials such as timber, bamboo, and brick are locally manufactured. Renocking structures are used depending on local climate. So the design is environmental friendly and sustainable way of construction. This is the traditional form and design. Traditional form and design can be seen in these heritage houses. This is the reconstruction of Shan traditional style and construction technique. The traditional outlook can be seen mostly in Myanmar. Traditional building form and decorative art are adapted in modern building. Today, vernacular architecture in Myanmar is now facing some challenges because of the cultural homogenization or globalization and rarity of traditional expertise, fewness of local materials, widespread usage of manufactured products or building materials, and more familiar or modern facilities and equipment. Therefore, to be sustainable through vernacular wisdom, we should do more the awareness program, including training courses, workshop, meeting, and seminar, and research and documentation, including academic research, conservation project, and the conservation work, including preservation, restoration, reconstruction, and adaptation for vernacular heritage. Now, I would like to conclude my presentation. As the age of globalization, conserving the vernacular heritage and adapting the vernacular wisdom in the contemporary buildings are approaching to the sustainable way of life and sustainable development tools. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mama, for that beautiful insight, And I think we are all done with the presentation part of all the speakers. But my apologies, I could not read the profile of our dynamic chairperson, architect Acha, and
oh, don't worry.
Acha is actually the chairperson of architecture program and chairperson of building technology innovation track at School of Architecture and Design, King's Mongkut University of Technology, Thornbury. She has been a guest lecturer for distance lighting learning program at Wismar, Germany since 2012. She has been elected as the chairman of Acacia Committee of Green and Sustainable Architecture for the year 2019 to 2021. She has served on TIA Illumination Engineering Association of Thailand Committee and TGBI, that is Thai Green Building Institute. She's the founder and the president of Lighting Design and Green Design Company Bioarchitect. She's a certified DGNB consultant, and her specialization is in sustainable building design, daylighting and lighting design, urban lighting with interest in visual perception. Thank you so very much, Acha, and my apologies. And the profile is because for the host and everyone should know that what you have done.
Thank you anyway. Thank you for
this is a presentation from all the 7-member institute. Thank you, all the eminent speakers, for putting up your viewpoint from your country's perspective. Rita, just to have certain conclusion remarks from you before we take question answer session. Are you there, Rita? Just a kind of a nutshell. You can put the conclusion in 1 or 2 words or 2 lines.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah.
Rita, can you hear?
Hello?
Can we hear just 2 lines of conclusions after?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was just answering a phone call. Yeah. I think I'm actually very, very happy to see the many discussion. On the onset, there are many offerings that I think the speakers has presented. So I like the fact that we have got a lot of example. The immediate idea that came to my mind is that I think you need to agree on a framework of identifying what do you mean by the vernacular architecture that we feel very important about, and then the criteria, and then the next task will be for every member institute to identify what these are. For example, I think places like Myanmar as well as Nepal has already begun. In fact, China even have a very good system of identifying what these are, because you need to start somewhere. So you may not be able to do everything for a start, but at least you have a framework. And I think Tuan has also given an appreciation of how the Vietnamese have done theirs, and then translate the various vernacular jewels, so to speak, into new modern usage. I think Debash also have shown some of examples. So I guess in Hong Kong also we have. So there are many of this wisdom that we can do, but I think at the moment we need to really sit down and think about a framework, sort these things out, and then you can then structure it with the required research, study, and all that, because that I think is fundamental, because otherwise we will be very overwhelmed with the information. So that's my simple advice to the committee. Maybe you can add on to that, but I jot down the points is that these are fundamentally very important kind of orientating points. So if you can do that, then we can actually then escalate and perhaps expand it later on. So sorry, I think too long. Not 2 words, but many words.
Thank you, Peter. And actually, it was badly needed. The conclusion are always when we talk about every forum's end, that we need to, think and discuss. And as we march towards science, we cannot afford to forget or let go our ancestral knowledge bank, which is rich with solutions for the problems arising in the design and architecture. So we have got lots of questions. We are short of time, but I would like to put one question to Acha, being the chairman of ACGSA committee. That there was a question from Mr. Jeet Kumar Gupta, not a question, but it's a suggestion that Acacia needs to take the lead to bringing out the roadmap for ushering an era of global sustainability through built environment. I'll repeat my question. Acacia needs to take a lead in bringing out the roadmap for ushering an era of global sustainability built environment. So what's the take on that?
Okay, I think thank you very much. I think his a lot of questions.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's a good questions, and I think we could go from bit by bit. At least, actually, we have working groups for the 3 pillars, and this is a very good work from our committee on pillar number 1 on heritage and future vernacular, where we can follow Rita's advice on putting together on some criterias. And of course, we have some we could have some recommendation or even work together with ACPP or SR, I don't remember. I think we could synchronize together, not only one working committee, but actually under Acacia, where when we have some recommendation from our side, we could synchronize with other committees, and absolutely it could come into a very nice compilation of the guideline or some kind of the way to go in terms of heritage or vernacular wisdom. Yeah, and that is what I think in the pillar number 1. However, there are some other thoughts, but I don't want to talk too much on that. Perhaps we could focus on this pillar, because actually now we are discussing on a vernacular wisdom at the moment. I think we have good starting point at the moment from our committees, and I'm pretty sure that we can get together and work together. I remember Russell. Yes, he's going to get back to us soon. Yeah, Tusha.
Yeah, thank you.
May I add, Chairman? I think you have started a very good idea of the 3 pillars. These 3 pillars could have individual program. So the gentleman asked about the roadmap. I think you can have different tracks of roadmap, but I guess it's something that will not be able to finish within your term. I think you need to get your deputy to continue, and I guess that we have all our Acacia members working to it. We will have a roadmap, but whether it's achieved within our tenure is something that we may not be able to see, but then we hope that the succeeding chairman can continue and carry on.
Yeah, we can take it forward for sure. Now, another question is can I get your views on achieving thermal comfort of vernacular building in the climate nowadays? Can anyone answer? The question is, can I get your views on achieving the thermal comfort of vernacular buildings in the change of climate nowadays? Can anyone from you answer? Maybe from someone from the hot and tropical climate? Debatosh?
Actually, there are a lot of echoes. Can you please repeat once again?
Yeah, the question is, can I get your views on achieving the thermal comfort of the vernacular building in the change of climate nowadays, in the present time? This is by Chow Kalyar.
Yeah, the first thing I think we have to believe in the vernacular wisdom of the old buildings, where the air conditioning systems were not there, be it hot valley. So if we follow the principles of the design, the passive way of designing the buildings, I think we will get the answers. Means in the hot climate or extreme climates, obviously we have to go for the introvert design or the courtyard-centric planning, where the external exposure has to be restricted. But the main conflict will be the buildings in the rural areas versus the buildings in the cities or in the urban areas. But obviously, the urban areas, we have to think for the ventilation. And obviously, the ventilation is not from the external surface. In that case, the ventilation sacs, that will play a very important role. And obviously, the heat gain of the building has to be minimized. I think there are means and ways to minimize that. And in my examples also, we have shown that how in the old buildings and in the modern buildings too, with the advantage of having the screens or the perforated seats in front of the glass, where the light is allowed, but simultaneously the heat gain is reduced. So those kind of things has to be there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we have got lots of questions and are coming to on the WhatsApp, but because of the time frame, we cannot take them forward. And I think what I'll suggest is that we'll take the questions and we can share the presentation of every speaker on a public forum. I think we'll do that with the permission of Acha. Last but not the least, I really need to thank the knowledge partners of today's event. Rita, I'll just like to tell that ASSOCHAM GEM in India is a new rating agency by the name of GEM, in which I am heading Rajasthan, Debatosh is heading West Bengal, and we are doing a good work for green and sustainable architecture. So today, Mr. Neeraj Arora, their senior director, is there to thank the entire Arcasia fraternity. And he has been a lot of instrumental, in taking our moves in the country also. We have been interacting with Sona also, we've been interacting with Bangladesh also. So they are doing a good job for us and making this world really green and sustainable. So Neeraj Arora is associated with ASSOCHAM as a senior director. ASSOCHAM is one of the oldest apex chamber of India, serving since the year 1920 and celebrating its centenary year. ASSOCHAM works in hand with the government, policymaker, legislature, diplomatic missions, and related private bodies that recognize ASSOCHAM as a knowledge chamber of India. So Neeraj is doing a fantastic job. We have spread our wings to the entire country in a very short span of 2 years' time. So Neeraj ji, over to you for formal word of thanks for making this event a great success.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Tusharji, for the very nice words. And
can we see your video?
Yeah, my video is there, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Tusharji, for the wonderful words. And before starting my word of thanks, I would like to mention here that this is all the efforts of architect Tusharji, Debatoshji, and other very senior architects of associated with Acacia, those who have taken this GEM Green Building Certification program at a very good height in India. So thank you so much, Tusharji and Debatoshji, for the great efforts. And as mentioned by Tusharji, I'm definitely this Acacia. I can see this is a single platform where we can see so many great professionals and architects from various countries on a common platform. So I am watching Arcasia's program since last 2 years. I am following Arcasia, and I can see all of you architects are talking on various sustainability aspects. We got a chance to invite Team Arcasia from 4 or 5 countries in GEM's annual program in January 2020. So we were lucky enough to host 5-6 eminent speakers from Arcasia in January, and after that we are meeting this time again. So thank you so much, Team Arcasia. First of all, I would like to extend my deepest congratulations to Team Arcasia and ACGSA for selecting so relevant topic, redefining sustainability through vernacular wisdom. there is definitely a need to redefine the sustainability in the current era. And with the vernacular wisdom, local design principles, using local artisan and local materials, it is really a need at this time. And GEM Sustainability Certification Program definitely supports all these views. So I mean, I was looking at your presentations. Each and every presentation was so wonderful. In fact, I called my wife to see the presentations which you guys were presenting. It was really amazing. So all the speakers spoke very well and shared their knowledge and experiences today. The session was very, very interactive, and we have received many good messages on the chat box and WhatsApp groups of ours regarding this. I would like to, however, Tusharji has mentioned, but I would like to brief you about a little on GEM Green Building Certification Program here. GEM is a sustainability initiative of ASSOCHAM, and with this, we provide guidance and knowledge on how to design and develop this sustainable built environment. So we have a national council under the umbrella of ASSOCHAM, and ASSOCHAM has 4 lakh industry members across the nation. Under GEM National Council, we have 8 regional chapters, 4 upcoming chapters, 10 MOUs with professional bodies like Indian Institute of Architects, ISRE, FSCI, Smart Habitat Foundation, GSCS, NAREDCO, ISLE, Lighting Association, IAQ, and ASHRE as well. And we have associated 62 universities across the nation with this GEM Council. We have certified 800 plus GEM certified professionals and several projects across the nation. And this all has happened within just a short span of 2.5 years. And this was all support from Tusharji, Debatoshji, and other very senior architects and professionals. So with GEM, we wish to make a sustainability a movement of masses so that each and every building should follow sustainability principles. And sustainability should not be forced, but we think that GEM and Arcacia jointly can do good work in this direction. So once again, congratulations to all of you. And we would like to have more and more such programs with Arcacia in coming years. So thank you so much. If I name all the speakers, Architect Acha, Architect Rita, Architect Lalishan, Architect Saifuddin, Dr. Patranan, Architect Rover, Architect Zio, Architect Ton, Architect Anjana, Architect Debatoshji, Architect Mia, and last but not the least, Architect Tushar Sogani ji for moderating the session so very well. Thank you so much, and all the best. See you soon. Wish to welcome you all once again in India. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And
Congratulations.
before we are starting, just who's going to come up conclusions of this entire forum. Thanks for coming and thanks for making our morale more high, and we were highly boosted here. I think end from our side.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.